You just checked your net worth tracker. Maybe it's on Mint, maybe it's a spreadsheet, maybe it's personal capital, and you see that number $247,000, or maybe it's $89,000, or $512,000. Doesn't matter. Because here's what happens next. You feel nothing. Maybe a little proud for a second, sure. But then you look at your checking account and you've got $1,800 sitting there, and your credit card bill is due in 5 days, and you're thinking about whether you can actually afford to go out to dinner this weekend. And you're sitting there asking yourself, if I'm worth $250,000, why do I feel broke? Yeah, that's the video we're making today. My name is NR, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people with impressive net worths still feel financially anxious. If you're someone who's been dutifully saving, watching your net worth climb, doing all the right things, but you still don't actually feel wealthy or secure, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. The problem with net worth. Here's the thing, we've been sold this idea that net worth is the number, the ultimate scorecard. And look, I get it, net worth matters. It's assets minus liabilities. It tells you something. But it doesn't tell you the thing that actually determines how you feel about money on a day-to-day basis. Let me give you a specific example. Meet Sarah. Sarah is 34, she's got $180,000 in her 401k, she's got $45,000 in equity in her house, and she's got about $8,000 in her checking and savings combined. Her only debt is her mortgage. Her net worth? Roughly $233,000. Solidly above the median net worth for her age group, which according to the Federal Reserve's 2022 survey of consumer finances is around $183,500 for 35 to 44-year-olds. Sarah should feel good, right? She's winning. Except Sarah is stressed about money constantly. She declined a trip with friends because she couldn't afford it. She's driving a car with 140,000 miles on it that needs repairs she keeps putting off. She lies awake at night worrying about what happens if she loses her job. Now meet Marcus. Marcus is 36. His net worth is $140,000. About $100,000 of that is in retirement accounts. $15,000 is in equity in his home. But here's the key difference. Marcus has $25,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account. Just sitting there. Liquid. Available. Guess which one of these people feels wealthy? Guess which one actually enjoys their money? Guess which one sleeps better at night? It's not even close. Marcus feels rich, Sarah feels poor, and it has nothing to do with their net worth. The one number that changes everything. Look, here's what most people don't realize. Net worth is a vanity metric if you don't have liquidity. That's it. That's the whole video. But we're going to dig into why this is so important and what you need to do about it. The number that actually determines how you feel about money, the number that changes everything is your liquid net worth. Not your total net worth, your liquid net worth. And here's the brutal truth. For most Americans, even those with impressive total net worths, their liquid net worth is embarrassingly low. A 2023 survey from Bankrate found that only 44% of Americans could cover a $1,000 emergency expense from savings. Think about that. More than half of Americans, including people with six-figure net worths locked up in their 401ks and home equity, couldn't handle a $1,000 surprise without going into debt. That's the disconnect. That's why your net worth feels fake. Defining liquid net worth. So, let's define this properly. Your liquid net worth is your assets that you can access quickly, typically within a few days without penalties, minus your short-term debts. This includes checking and savings accounts, money market accounts, taxable brokerage accounts, yes, even though selling might trigger capital gains. Cash value of whole life insurance if you have it. Bonds after the first year. This does not include retirement accounts, 401k, IRA, etc., because you can't access them without penalties before 59.5. Home equity, because you can't spend it without selling your house or getting a HELOC. Your car's value, collectibles, jewelry, whatever. And you subtract any debts that are going to come due soon. Credit card balances, car payments, student loans, the stuff that hits your cash flow regularly. This is the number that determines your actual financial flexibility. This is the number that determines whether you have options when life happens. The psychology of liquidity. Now you might be thinking, but NR, isn't it good that my money is locked up? Isn't that why I'm building wealth, because I can't touch it and waste it? And okay, I hear you. There's some truth to that for people with serious spending problems. But here's what's actually happening psychologically when all your money is locked up in illiquid assets. You develop what I call scarcity brain even when you're not actually scarce. Your nervous system doesn't care that you have $300,000 in your 401k. Your nervous system cares that you have $2,000 in your checking account and your rent is $1,800. Your nervous system is doing the math on whether you can handle your life for the next 30 days, not the next 30 years. And this is where it gets really interesting. When you operate from scarcity brain, you make worse financial decisions. You don't invest in yourself the course, the certification, the business idea because you can't afford it. You don't negotiate for higher pay as aggressively because you're terrified of losing what you have. You pass on opportunities that require short-term capital even when they'd pay off long-term. There's actually research on this. A study by Princeton researchers Anandi Mani and Senthil Mullainathan found that financial scarcity literally reduces cognitive capacity. When you're worried about money in the short term, you have less mental bandwidth for everything else. You make worse decisions across the board. But here's the thing. You can have a high net worth and still be operating from scarcity brain if you have no liquidity. That's the trap. The real wealth formula. So let me give you the formula that actually creates the feeling of wealth. Ready? Here it is. True financial security equals enough liquid assets to cover 6 minus 12 months of expenses, plus systematic long-term wealth building. It's both, not one or the other, both. Most people do one or the other. They're either sitting on a huge pile of cash earning nothing while inflation eats it, or they're maxing out every retirement account and investment while running on fumes month to month. The people who actually feel wealthy and secure? They've got money in both places. They've got the long-term wealth building happening automatically, the 401k, the IRAs, the brokerage account, whatever. But they've also got a substantial emergency fund plus some excess liquidity that gives them options. Let me show you the math on what this actually looks like. The math of liquid wealth. Let's say your monthly expenses are $4,500. That's pretty typical for a single person in a medium cost of living area. Let's break down what different levels of liquid net worth actually mean for you. $4,500 one month. You have zero room for error. Any emergency sends you into debt. You're living paycheck to paycheck even if you have a high income. Stress level, maximum, $13,500, 3 months. You can survive a job loss for about 90 days. Better, but still terrifying. Any extended emergency and you're in trouble. Stress level, high. $27,000, 6 months. Now we're getting somewhere. This is the minimum emergency fund most experts recommend. You can weather a job loss, handle major car repairs, deal with a medical issue. Stress level, moderate. $54,000, 12 months. This is where the psychology really shifts. You're not just surviving an emergency, you have options. You can be selective about your next job. You can invest in opportunities. You can take calculated risks. Stress level, low, $100,000 plus. This is sleep like a baby money. You have true flexibility. You could take a sabbatical. You could start a business. You could relocate for the right opportunity. Stress level, minimal. Now here's what most people don't realize. The difference in your stress level and decision-making quality between having $27,000 liquid and $54,000 liquid is massive. But the difference between having a $400,000 net worth and a $450,000 net worth when it's all locked up, you won't even notice. That's a really important point. The marginal benefit of increasing your liquid net worth from 0 to 6 months of expenses is enormous. The marginal benefit of increasing your total net worth from $400K to $450K while maintaining zero liquidity? Almost nothing in terms of how you actually feel. The opportunity cost myth. Okay, so now you're thinking, but NR, if I keep money liquid, I'm losing out on returns. My 401k is getting 10% per year, my high-yield savings is only getting 4.5%. I'm leaving money on the table. This is the most common objection, and it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how opportunity costs actually work in real life. First of all, yes, there's a mathematical difference in returns. If you put $30,000 in the S&P 500 instead of a high-yield savings account, and the market does 10% while your savings does 4.5%, you'd earn an extra $1,650 that year. That's real money. But here's what that math doesn't account for. The cost of not having liquidity when you need it. Let's say you don't have an emergency fund, and your car needs a $2,000 repair. You have 3 options. Put it on a credit card at 22% interest. If you take 6 months to pay it off, you pay $2,131. That's $131 in interest. Pull money out of your retirement account. If you're under 59.5, you pay a 10% penalty plus income taxes. If you're in the 24% tax bracket, pulling out $2,000 actually costs you $2,680. You just paid $680 in penalties and taxes. Get a personal loan. Average rate right now is around 12% for someone with decent credit. Same scenario, you pay an extra $62 in interest. Compare that to having kept $2,000 liquid, where it earned 4.5% instead of 10%. The opportunity cost of that decision was about $110 for the year. But by having it liquid, you saved yourself anywhere from $62 to $680 in emergency costs. The math actually works out in favor of liquidity when you account for the real costs of not having it. But honestly, the math isn't even the most important part. The most important part is what liquidity does to your psychology and your ability to make good decisions. When you have 6 months or a year of expenses saved up in liquid form, here's what happens. You stop making fear-based career decisions. You can actually consider that job offer that pays less but is better for your long-term career. You can walk away from a toxic workplace without worrying about immediately landing something else. You can negotiate harder because you're not desperate. You can invest in yourself. You can afford the certification, the course, the conference, the networking event that could 10x your income over the next 5 years. You're not constantly asking, can I afford this? You're asking, is this worth it? You can take calculated risks, start a side business, move to a new city for better opportunities, make career pivots. All the things that actually build wealth in the long run require short-term flexibility. There's a reason the wealthy stay wealthy. They have options. And options come from liquidity, not from having all your money locked up until you're 65. The real strategy. All right, so here's the actual strategy. Here's what you should be doing. Phase 1. Build your starter emergency fund. Before you do anything aggressive with retirement savings, get $2,000, $5,000 in a high-yield savings account. This is your life happens buffer. This prevents you from going into debt for normal emergencies. Phase 2. Get your employer match. If your employer offers a 401k match, get it. That's free money. If they match 4%, contribute 4%. This is a 100% return. You're not skipping this. Phase 3. Build to 3 months of expenses. Now you're putting everything extra toward your emergency fund until you hit 3 months of expenses. You're still getting the match, but you're not going beyond that yet. This is your I lost my job buffer. Phase 4. Evaluate your risk and build to 6 to 12 months. This is where you get strategic. How stable is your job? How specialized are your skills? How much do you value flexibility? If you're in a volatile industry or you're ambitious and want options, you're building to 12 months. If you're in a stable situation, maybe 6 months is fine. Phase 5. Now maximize long-term wealth building. Only after you have substantial liquidity do you go aggressive on retirement accounts and long-term investments. Now you're maxing your 401k, funding your Roth IRA, building a taxable brokerage account. But you're doing it from a place of security, not scarcity. Let me make this really concrete. Let's say you make $75,000 a year. After taxes, that's about $56,000, or roughly $4,700 per month. Let's say your expenses are $3,800 per month. You've got $900 per month to work with. Here's exactly what you do. Months 1 to 6. Put $500 month toward your starter emergency fund. Put $400 month toward your 401k to get the employer match. Let's say they match 4%. So you're contributing about 6.5% to get that full match. At the end of 6 months, you have $3,000 liquid. Months 7 to 18. Stop retirement contributions beyond the match. Put the full $900 month toward building your emergency fund to 6 months, $22,800. This takes 12 months. Months 19 to 30. Now you have 6 months of expenses liquid. You feel completely different about money. You sleep better. You're not anxious. Now you go aggressive on retirement. You bump your 401k to 15%. You open a Roth IRA and fund it. You're putting $900 plus per month toward long-term wealth building. In 2.5 years, you've gone from living paycheck to having $22,800 liquid plus about $18,000 in retirement accounts with growth. Your total net worth is around $40,800. But more importantly, your liquid net worth is $22,800. You've completely changed your financial psychology. Compare that to someone who maxed their 401k from day one. After 2.5 years, they might have $30,000 in their retirement account, but they've got $1,200 in their checking account and they're stressed about money constantly. Their net worth is lower, but even if it were higher, they'd feel broke. The millionaire mistake. You know what's wild? I see people making $200,000, $300,000 a year making this exact mistake. They're maxing their 401k, $23,000. Maxing their backdoor Roth, $7,000. Maxing their HSA, $4,150. Dumping another $30,000 into their brokerage account, and they're stressed about money because they've got $8,000 in their checking account. They're building impressive net worths on paper, but they feel poor because they've optimized for a number instead of for actual financial security. And here's the kicker: because they have no liquidity. When a real opportunity comes up, invest in a friend's business, buy rental property at a discount, fund a business idea, they can't do it. They're rich, but illiquid. They've built a prison of their own making. The truly wealthy don't do this. The truly wealthy have liquidity, they have dry powder, they have optionality. That's how they stay wealthy and become more wealthy. Look, here's the thing I need you to understand. Your net worth is important for your future. Your liquid net worth is important for your present. And if your present sucks because you're constantly stressed about money, you're not going to make it to a future where you can enjoy that net worth. I see so many people sacrificing their 30 seconds and 40 seconds living in anxiety, passing on experiences, staying in jobs they hate, because they can't afford to leave all in service of a number in a retirement account they can't touch for decades. And then what happens? They get to 65 with $2 million in their 401k, but they've spent 35 years feeling poor. They've made worse career decisions because they had no flexibility. They've missed opportunities because they had no capital. They've lived smaller lives because they had no buffer. That's not wealth, that's just deferred poverty. Real wealth is having enough liquid assets that you feel secure today while building enough long-term assets that you'll be secure tomorrow. It's both. It's always both. Alright, here's exactly what you're going to do after you watch this video. Step 1. Calculate your monthly expenses. Not what you think they are, go look at the last 3 months and average them. Be honest. Include the stuff you always forget: car insurance, gifts, haircuts, all of it. Step 2. Calculate your current liquid net worth. Add up everything you could access in a week without penalties. Subtract any credit card debt or immediate bills due. Step 3. Divide your liquid net worth by your monthly expenses. That's how many months you can currently cover. Is it 0, 1, 3, 12? Just know the number. Step 4. Decide on your target. I recommend 6 months minimum, 12 months if you want real freedom and flexibility. More if you're planning something big like starting a business or have a specialized skill set that would take time to replace your income. Step 5. Build a plan to get there. Look at your monthly surplus. Figure out how long it'll take. Adjust your retirement contributions if you need to in order to build liquidity faster. You can always catch up on retirement later. You can't catch up on the opportunities you miss because you had no liquidity. Step 6. Once you hit your target, then and only then, go aggressive on long-term wealth building. Max out those retirement accounts. Build that brokerage account. Buy that real estate. But do it from a position of security, not scarcity. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Your net worth is not fake. It matters. It's real wealth. But if it's all illiquid, you're not going to feel wealthy. You're going to feel trapped. The number that actually changes how you feel about money, the number that gives you options, the number that lets you sleep at night, that's your liquid net worth. And for most people watching this video, that number is way too low. Fix that. Build liquidity. Get to the point where you have 6 to 12 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account just there, available, boring, safe. And then watch what happens. Watch how your psychology changes. Watch how your stress drops. Watch how opportunities start appearing because you actually have the flexibility to pursue them. That's when your net worth will stop feeling fake. That's when you'll actually feel wealthy, because you'll have the thing that wealth is supposed to provide: security, options, and freedom. All right, that's the video. If this changed how you think about your finances, hit that like button and subscribe, because I make videos like this every week. Drop a comment and let me know, what's your liquid net worth in months of expenses? Be honest. No judgment. We're all figuring this out together. I'll see you in the next one.